Hello, you're watching Everard Junction, and today I'm going to be installing some yard lighting in the TMD over here. But just first of all, I'll just quickly apologise for the lack of videos recently. I usually try and do a video every 2 to 3 weeks, but it's been over a month now. It has been very cold. Most of January was pretty much a no-go for coming up here. It was just too cold. The trains themselves, they don't run as good as they usually do when it's really cold, and the whole of January and the beginning of February pretty cold up here, so I've been keeping away and doing little projects and bits and pieces downstairs, but in terms of working up here on the layout, haven't been able to come up until now. So today I'm going to be installing some of the new Berko yard lighting options. The guys at Online Models Limited, who make all the Berko stuff, very kindly sent me a selection of the new lighting options that they now do. So I'm going to be putting those, or at least some of those, over in this area over here, and I'm also going to be adding some lighting, some extra lighting to the signal box to make that look a bit better. Something that's really nice about these is they are LEDs. I love LEDs. I'm not a big fan of bulbs. Bulbs get hot and they break quite often when you're using the grain of wheat bulbs. If you've got a fully lit station with grain of wheat bulbs, I wouldn't want to have that, because bulbs break. LEDs, touch wood anyway, last for a very long time, and I've done my best to try and make as much of the layout lighting as possible LED. So here's one of the tall yard lights. There's a little platform at the top. You've got 2 LEDs. The post itself is metal, and then there's a base with the wires coming out of the bottom, and there is a resistor included on the wiring loom. Okay, so cleared the yard, and I'm thinking somewhere along here, and I'll put both of those big towers. They're evenly spaced within the concrete area, and they're quite narrow, so the trains will easily fit past them. That's not going to be a problem. These 2 lights over here don't really do very much, not very bright, and the signal box itself, again, brightness has been adjusted to make it convincing, so that too doesn't radiate out too far. So I think if I put them somewhere along here in the centre, that'll be a good spot. I'll just do a quick comparison so you can see what it's like at the moment. So you can see we have the two street lights, and then we've also got the signal box, which I'll just turn on. So this area over along the road isn't too bad, nice and sort of convincing level of lighting, but the yard itself doesn't really have any. That only really gets lit up when trains are parked in there and left with the lights on. So this area needs some more illumination, so that workers and stuff can see where they're going when the railway is operating in the dark. Okay, I've just marked the points where they're going to be installed. There's a decent gap between them, and they'll be positioned in a pretty good spot, I think. So I will drill a small hole. The wires for these are very thin, so I only need to drill a small hole, so even if I do decide to move them, it's relatively easy to fix. I can just put a bit of filler in the hole and paint over it. Okay, so I just fitted them loosely. They look pretty good. Quite impressed. So I'll put the lighting onto the signal box, and then wire it all up. I'd like to have it all operated from a single switch. So wire it all up to a single switch, and give it a go and see how much of a difference it makes. So over here on the signal box, I'm going to be putting in some of these single spot lamps, which look like this. You can use this little bracket to mount them in pairs, so I could actually make another sort of tall post light like these ones, but I'm going to stick with just keeping them separate for the time being. So I'll put them on the signal box on the outer walls. Okay, so I've put one sort of in the centre, up high. That'll illuminate the pathway along the side, and the ever-odd junction sign should get caught nicely on the way down as well, so that should make the whole side of the signal box a little bit better. And then this other one I've put on the end to light up the sort of waste area and the approaching pathway. And the nice thing about these, because they're spotlights, you can sort of twizzle them and move them around. So I think what I'll do now is get them wired up, and then once it's back over here I can play around with the final positions. Now it says on the instructions that these run off 12 volts, so that's alright, so I can just wire them straight up to my 12 volt accessory power bus. They do give you some resistors. Those are 1 kilo ohm resistors, which is usually what I use for doing things like building lighting. So here's the signal box lighting, and that resistor there is a 1 kilo ohm resistor. Gives you a nice level of brightness, so they shouldn't be too intense. There should be quite a nice glow to them, but depending on how we go I might add some more resistors, we'll see. Got some existing holes down here where the building lighting is, so I'm just threading the wires down there. I'll try not to drill too many holes in the baseboard if I can avoid it. Okay, so I'm going to try and wire them all up to the same switch so they could all be controlled at the same time. You have a black and a blue wire. The blue wire is the one that you put the resistor on, and then the black wire is the positive side. Okay, so I've soldered all of the positive cables to the switch, and then all of the negative cables go up to that crimp blade splicer with the spade connector. So they're all wired into the same switch and the same earth, so I should be able to switch them on with a single switch. Okay, so everything's installed. I've just put a tiny little bit of super glue under the base just to stop them spinning around or falling over. And again, on the spotlights I've just very lightly glued them to the signal box, but if I need to take them off they will come off. The only thing I will do is add a little bit of paint and weathering. They're a bit pristine, and you can see on the top where you can see the wires obviously for the LEDs. So I will be giving them a lick of paint and a bit of a weathering, but apart from that it's all done. Okay, so I've turned off pretty much all the lights. I've got a little bit of ambient light which will just allow the camera to focus and hopefully pick out how this looks in the dark. So I've got the signal box lighting, the interior lighting is on a separate switch. So there's the interior lit up, and then all of the lights should come on with the other switch. So they're all in and working. It looks good. It's nice how the top section of the larger lights is lit up, the little walkway type thing up there. So I might put a little man up there doing a bit of servicing. That might look quite good. Yeah, very pleased. There's what it looks like in complete darkness. I've managed to get the camera to focus, and it's not doing a too bad job. It's not perfect, but it never is in pitch black with a camera. Areas where they're very, very lightly illuminated, the camera isn't picking it up at all. But you get the general idea anyway. And then of course once you bring some locos in and introduce some more lighting from the locos themselves, it really starts to look like a depot. And then of course we've got the Suburb Scene hiding over here in the corner. So if I turn that on as well, you can see once you add more lighting to the layout, it really does start to look good. So that was the installation of the new Berko lighting towers and the wall-mounted spotlights. Hope you enjoyed the video, and big thanks again to the guys at Online Models for sending me these lights. They do look very good, and it's allowing me to continue the lighting that I started over there down towards the station. So once the station's done and this whole lot is all lit up, I think it's going to look fantastic. So plenty of soldering ahead. And with that, I'll just leave you with some shots of the trains moving around the yard in the dark under the new lighting.